Hello and welcome to Connections. I'm Richard Haynes and thank you for your company on today's show. As always, we'd love to hear from you here on Connections. There's the email address, connections@tvn.com.au. Fire us off an email and we'll do our very best to answer it for you. Well, last week we learned some good news as far as racehorses when they finish their racing days are concerned. The RVL is putting out a good initiative. To hear more, let's go to Paul Bitter from the RVL.
Effectively, it aims to bridge a gap between the racing industry and the wider equestrian community. We don't necessarily have strong links with the broader equestrian community, and we see this as a key opportunity for us to further develop those links and ultimately to provide racehorses with a successful career beyond the racetrack. Our program is going to use a number of experienced and well-connected horse people throughout Victoria for preparing horses for their post-racing career. And these people will include, we're pleased to say, the highly respected Group 1 winning trainer Brian Mayfield-Smith, who, as most people would be aware, has a very strong interest in not just equine welfare but animal welfare. We feel that the outplacement program complements a range of initiatives that we already have in place for equine welfare and a number of other issues, and might I say, through the support of the state government, a number of capital infrastructure programs that have developed regional racecourses and provided improved stabling facilities and safety facilities at racecourses.
Yeah, that's Paul Bitter from the RVL talking about their racehorse outplacement plan. And of course, when racehorses finish their racing career, they can't all go to the Living Legends farm, and hopefully they can find a good home when their racing days are finished. Now, a similar thing is happening here in New South Wales, and we're joined today by three gentlemen who know a little bit about this. Darren Pearce, CEO of the AJC, Scott Brodie, who's with the AJC in a security point of view and a head horse trainer, and also Shane Brady. Gentlemen, thanks for joining us today, and we'll start with you, Darren. I suppose a broad side, what's Racing New South Wales doing regarding horses when their racing days come to an end?
Richard, it's a great opportunity that we have here, and similar to what Paul was saying is the Victorian objectives, we're trying to find a productive life for horses when they finish their racing career. With the AJC, it started small. We have a lot of major events, and for our major race days we thought it would be a great opportunity to rehabilitate some horses to provide a mounted security force through our major events. And that's where it all started. But we saw the opportunity was much bigger than that, and by our security team being in-house, we found that we had riding skills within the team, and that team introduced Scott Brodie to us, who's got a fantastic career in equestrian events. And we're now working with Racing New South Wales. We've developed a funding program to rehabilitate 30 horses a year. Those 30 horses may be used at the AJC for mounted security or placed out into the community as pleasure or performance horses. And there'll also be relationships developed with other farms so that those horses who aren't suitable for that can have a lovely home after racing.
Well, Scott, I think you have a very interesting job as the chief horse trainer. We're talking about racehorses here who during their careers were, I suppose, on high performance feeds and whatever else and trained to really gallop. How hard is it to retrain a horse from being a competitive racehorse to a different job after racing?
Yeah, it's an interesting question because it varies from horse to horse, and obviously, you know, the varying temperaments in racehorses are from one extreme to the other, where you get the odd one that's quite quiet that can almost walk out and do other activities straight away, and some that require, you know, extensive retraining. But yeah, it's a whole different world because the horses, when they get out to do the type of thing that we're doing with security or possibly with equestrian sports, need to get to a situation where they are communicating with the riders, whereas with racing it's about getting out there and going hard and using their physical attributes. We need to get them to start to use their mental attributes a bit better, and so it's about connecting with them in that sort of communication sort of role. When
racehorses have finished their racing days, how important, from your point of view, is firstly soundness and temperament?
Yeah, look, both those things are super important. You know, obviously there's a lot of horses that race and a lot of horses that finish racing. They're not all going to go on to do some sort of other equestrian pursuit because of, you know, possibly injuries and that sort of thing. We'll have a stringent process of trying to determine which horses have the best temperament for the job, for particular jobs that we might send them off to, and also make sure that they're suitably sound to be able to carry out the jobs that they're going to do.
And it's not necessarily the Group 1 winner that might make the best horse for, say, mounted security?
No, absolutely not. I mean, for mounted security, whether it's mounted security or possibly passed on to the mounted police, the horses have to have a super temperament for that type of job. And, you know, other horses that may not be great racehorses may have great movement and suddenly they become world-class dressage horses. There's lots of different opportunities for horses with attributes that aren't necessarily great for racing, but are great for something else.
Now, Shane, as far as these racehorses go, they're already being put into work, and their services have been required for, I think, different music festivals that are held at Randwick and just different events. So the horses, they might have finished their racing days, but they're certainly being kept nice and busy afterwards.
Yeah, absolutely, Richard. We initially probably underestimated the operational value of the mounted security and the thoroughbreds we're utilising for that. We've found not only are they great for patrolling the expanse of both Warwick Farm and Royal Randwick, but also as an operational tool, particularly in the crowd control area. And they were extremely invaluable during the music festival last year, or Future Music Festival last year.
Shane, what's your background as far as mounted police and security goes?
I've had a career in security and risk management, and I was fortunate enough to grow up around horses, so I had some insight. But Scott's the expert in this area in regard to the re-education and training of the mounts. I'll
ask the same thing with you, Scott. Your background is extensive.
My background, I have a competitive equestrian background, but I was 12 years with the mounted police and finished up there as a horse trainer and riding instructor. And since then, I've been involved with instructing personnel. I'm a qualified EFA instructor, and I've retrained horses for equestrian pursuits since I've left the mounted police, and now moving into this.
Darren, I suppose I should ask you a question that might be not a crucial one, but this has to be funded in some way, shape or form. How does that come about?
Well, the AJC started out, as I said, it started small and it's using it for its mounted security force, but from that opportunity we took a business case to Racing New South Wales, and it was great that Arthur Inglis and Peter Volandis and Craig Sewan, the chief vet in New South Wales, supported the program, and Craig's based at Randwick and could see the horses being worked and give that genuine support. And Arthur Inglis, obviously from the Inglis family, has made a business out of thoroughbreds. So those three people saw merit in this and the rehabilitation program. It's a social responsibility type of thing and a welfare issue that we can all be very proud of. So we see this as the starting point. We hope it can grow and become bigger and better in years to come. To do that, we'll need additional funding and additional resources. But look, we can develop a program, we can develop a system. We've started that. We've seed capital to grow that, and in the future, we hope that we can make it a much more productive and bigger program for the whole New South Wales industry. But there was a starting point, and I've got to thank the drive and determination of Shane and Scott and Lynell Peck from the AJC for crystallising the concept, and then for Racing New South Wales for agreeing to support it so we can help it achieve its objectives.
Scott, when a horse comes to you and it's finished its racing days, how long does it take you to determine, okay, well, this horse might not be quite right for mounted security, but gee, it jumps well, or that kind of... How long does it take you to work out where this horse may well be best placed when its racing days are finished?
Yeah, we're looking at generally speaking, about a 6-week block where we can take a horse and determine what its potential is. By the end of that 6 weeks, you may decide that horse is suitable for mounted security work or mounted police work. But after that, obviously, there's a lot more training that would go into getting the horse up to the standard that would be required to carry out those duties. But as a jumper or an eventer or a dressage horse, in 6 weeks, we can get the horses to a preliminary dressage level, which is basically then a good starting point for any of those other pursuits for a horse to move on into the individual pursuits. So.
Shane, we have these music festivals at our racecourses now. Racecourses are great for racing, but they're also good venues for the festivals, and they're a good place for them to happen. Some of these race horses, and moving into the mounted security, we've got loud music, plenty of people. Sometimes you got a lunatic around the place. They have to be pretty bomb-proof, some of these horses.
And that's our end goal, Richard. We try to give the horses as much exposure as we can to different elements, particularly unnatural elements. And the process we've developed has worked to date, particularly in regard to the exposure to loud music, vehicle traffic, and crowds in general. So it's not that different transferring a busy carnival day to a music festival. You've still got the traffic, you've still got the people, and you've still got different behaviours that the horses have to be familiar with.
Okay, well, we're just about out of time with you guys. I'll ask you one final question, Darren. How can any racehorse owners around the country, I suppose New South Wales for this purpose, but around the country, how can they get in contact with you guys or other jurisdictions to find out how they can see their beloved racehorse have a good career after it's racing?
Yeah, the idea is that they contact Shane at the AJC, and they can put their horse in the program. We'll try and find a date that we can take the horse and give it an assessment, and through Shane he can give them some feedback on the program and what it means to be a part of that, and if they contact Shane, we'll communicate with them from there, and hopefully we'll find a home, a productive home for the racehorse after racing.
Okay, so the website, the email is sbrady@ajc.org.au or sbrady@royalrandwick.com. All right. Well, guys, thanks for your time today. It's I'm sure this will be well watched because there's plenty of racehorse owners out there, and Mick Price said that it doesn't matter if you're a Group 1 winning horse or you won a maiden at Warwick Nabil. The same care is required for the horses after they finish.
Absolutely.
All right, guys, thanks for your time, and well, good luck with what you're trying to do. It's good.
Thanks, Richard.
All right, let's go to our email of the week. We've had an email from Greg from East Hills. Here it is. Good question too regarding breeze-up sales. I watched the story on BC3 on last week's Thoroughbred show and wanted to see what your thoughts were on a breeze-up sale. I know this is well liked in the USA and other parts of the world, but what is an Australian breeder and buyer's view on this type of sale? Well, Greg, in Australia, I don't mean to pour cold water on these sales, but they've taken time to get off the ground. I'm not sure what the reason is, but these kinds of sales have always proven pretty hard to fly in this part of the world. In America, they're very, very popular indeed, and breeders and vendors can make some good money out of them. But in Australia, it's just taken a while to get off the ground. But the same on story. If your horse looks the part, breezes up well, runs a bit of time, they'll probably make some money. We saw the BC3 sale conducted on Sunday in Melbourne, and it went okay. You wouldn't say it was a resounding success, but these sales in this part of the world have been tough. In New Zealand, however, the Ready to Run sale in New Zealand has proven successful, but it's been built up over time into what it is now. It's a good sale, but the Kiwis really, the way their prize money levels are and that kind of thing, they really have to be sellers, so they put their horses on the market. So to answer your question, Greg, in this part of the world, the breeze-up sales, they've gone okay without being outstanding. Certainly in New Zealand, they've gone very, very well indeed. The Asian market specifically does like a breeze-up sale. Coming up, the owner's diary. What about the $1 Million Golden Rose? Would you like to have a runner in the race? 7 furlongs, Group 1 for the 3-year-olds. The Concord Stakes will be a ripping race as well of $125,000. The Premier's Cup for the middle distance horses, and the Shirako Stakes. We might get to see more Joyous back at the races this weekend. So big day of racing at Rosehill Gardens, the $1 Million Golden Rose, Memsey Stakes Day at Caulfield. Shootout, can he just remain unbeaten? Probably, he's outstanding. The McNeil Stakes for the 3-year-olds, the Heatherley, and also the Clam Seafood Stakes at 1100 metres, and the Penny Edition Stakes is the feature race at Morphettville on the weekend. That's Connections for this week. Thanks for your company. We'll see you again soon.